Andrew Phillips' jolt. Andrew Phillips sat upright with a jolt, ripped from cryogenic stasis. Air rushed down his throat in a gasp as white-hot rage scalded through his veins. 500,000 years after the aliens glassed Earth and her colonies to ash, the humans were finally ready to take revenge. Disoriented awakening. Phillips blinked and shook his head, disoriented. Where was he? What happened? The pod hissed open, and he stumbled out. "The Vengeance, Welcome back, Lieutenant Phillips," a calm female voice said. The ship AI continued. "You are aboard the Vengeance, humanity's failsafe. Earth was destroyed 500,000 years ago by the Elysians. You are one of the few human survivors preserved to exact retribution when the time was right. That time is now." Realization and rage. Phillips felt numb. Everyone he knew was dead, had been dead for 500,000 years, killed by the Elysians when humans refused to surrender their technology. The images flashed back, cities incinerated, the screams of the dying, continents scorched to bedrock. The last remnants. He looked around the cavernous Creo Bay, pod after pod stretching into the shadows. The last remnants of the human race, waiting to awaken and fight again. One final chance for payback against the alien monsters who exterminated them. Determined plan. "What's the plan?" Phillips asked, voice hard, his hands clenched into fists. The humans would have their vengeance, or they would die trying. The last gasp of a broken species determined to make the aliens bleed. No other option remained. Into the heart of the enemy. Stealth and disguise. Andrew Phillips strolled through the bustling streets of the Elysian capital, his disguise flawless thanks to the advanced human technology at his disposal. His skin had been altered to the pale blue hue of the Elysians, and his features were now indistinguishable from those of the aliens who had destroyed his home world. He blended seamlessly into the crowd, just another merchant going about his business. Marvel and hatred. As he made his way deeper into the city, Andrew couldn't help but marvel at the towering structures and advanced technology surrounding him. The Elysians had clearly made significant advancements in the 500,000 years since they had wiped out humanity. However, beneath the gleaming surface, he could sense an undercurrent of oppression and fear. Anniversary of destruction. Holographic displays throughout the city proclaimed the upcoming celebration of the 500,000th anniversary of the Elysians' victory over the humans. The face of Prior, the Elysian ruler who had ordered Earth's destruction, loomed large on the screens. Andrew clenched his fists, barely able to contain his rage at the sight of the alien who had condemned his species to near extinction. Encountering the resistance. In the depths of one of these industrial complexes, Andrew first encountered the resistance. A group of aliens led by a charismatic figure named Zorax had gathered in secret to plan their uprising against the Elysians. Andrew approached them cautiously, revealing his true identity and offering his assistance in their fight. Forming alliances. Zorax eyed him warily. "Why should we trust a human? Your kind has been gone for 500,000 years." Andrew held out a small device, a piece of advanced human technology. "This is why. I have the knowledge and the means to help you defeat the Elysians. Together, we can bring an end to their tyranny." Trust and determination. Zorax took the device, turning it over in his hands. A slow smile spread across his face as he realized the potential of what Andrew was offering. "Very well, human. We will work together. But know that our fight is not just for your revenge, but for the freedom of all those who suffer under Elysian rule." Andrew nodded. "I understand. This is bigger than just humanity now." Sabotage and strategy. Uncovering the truth. Andrew hunched over a holographic display, schematics of Elysian industrial complexes floating in the air. Zorax stood at his side, the alien's brow furrowed. "There," Zorax said, pointing a clawed finger. "Those facilities on the outer planets. Notice anything?" Andrew zoomed in, scanning the images. His eyes widened. "Their power output is off the charts. way higher than it should be for normal manufacturing. Zorax nodded. Exactly. I think it's time we took a closer look. Infiltration and discovery. They boarded a small unmarked shuttle and slipped past the Elysian patrols, landing near one of the suspicious complexes. Andrew hacked the security systems, looping the camera feeds. They crept inside, hugging the shadows. The facility thrummed with energy, pipes and conduits snaking along the walls. Andrew placed a scanner against one of the tubes. Novolite, he breathed. They're extracting it here, refining and pumped to the central planets. Novolite. What is that? Zorax asked. An energy source, extremely powerful and rare. It could fuel the Elysian tech for centuries. And look, Andrew showed Zorax the readouts. The extraction process was devastating the planet, poisoning the ground and air. Planning the attack, Zorax growled. They're destroying entire worlds for this, killing thousands, and using it to stay in power, Andrew said grimly. We have to destroy these facilities, cut off their Novolite supply. Suddenly, alarms blared. A squad of Elysian soldiers burst in, weapons raised. Andrew cursed. They'd been discovered. He and Zorax fought their way out, barely escaping. But they had the information they needed. The resistance strikes back. Sabotage begins. The resistance began planning attacks on the extraction complexes. Deep in his citadel, Pryor watched the reports of sabotage trickle in, his fist clenched. Someone was orchestrating these strikes. He thought of the humans, dead for 500,000 years. Could one have survived? Impossible. And yet, the hunt begins. He turned to Zahn, his most ruthless general. Find who is behind this, human or not, and eliminate them. Zahn bowed. As you command. The general began his hunt, tracking down rumors and whispers. The humans had been a cunning foe. If even one had lived, Zahn would not underestimate them. Growing resistance. Across the galaxy, the resistance struck at Novolite facilities. The Elysians retaliated in force. Zorax and Andrew barely stayed one step ahead of Zahn, the relentless pursuit dogging them as they raced to undermine the Empire's power. Losses mounted on both sides. Friends fell, worlds burned, but still, Andrew and Zorax pushed on, cornered by Zahn. They infiltrated one of the largest extraction complexes, a linchpin in the Novolite supply chain. In the depths of the facility, Zahn finally cornered them. The general was a whirlwind of pale blue fists and flashing blades. Andrew met him head-on, human fury against Elysian skill. They traded blows in a dance of death, victory and loss. Zorax lay slumped against a wall, wounded. Andrew stood over Zahn's broken body, victorious but exhausted. The general coughed blood. You cannot win, human. Pryor is eternal. The Novolite sustains him. He will never surrender his empire. Andrew's eyes hardened. Then we'll just have to take it from him. Final assault plans. He and Zorax limped back to the resistance, armed with the knowledge of Pryor's greatest secret and weakness. The time had come for the final assault, to cut the head off the snake and watch the empire crumble. The end was near for Pryor, for the Elysians, for all of them. The final assault. Vulnerability found. Andrew's wrist computer pinged with an incoming message. He tapped the screen, and a wall of encrypted text scrolled by. It was from the Vengeance Eye. I found something, the AI said after Andrew entered his decryption key. A vulnerability in the Elysian defenses. They're using a network of ancient wormhole gates to move Novolite and troops around their empire. Taking control. Andrew leaned in, scanning the data. If we could control those wormholes, we could strike multiple targets at once. Cut off Pryor's Novolite supply. It would cripple them. The AI finished. Andrew called up a schematic of Elysian space, wormhole entry points blinking red at the center. A pulsing dot. Let me guess, the control hub is there. Affirmative, the AI replied. But it's deep in their territory and heavily guarded. Andrew allowed himself a tight smile. When has that ever stopped us? Send everything to Zorax. We need to move on this fast. Assembling the team. He found Zorax in the war room, hunched over a holo table with their top fighters. The alien looked up as Andrew strode in. I assume you've seen the data, Andrew asked. Zorax nodded, tapping a claw on the table. The wormhole network. It's a big risk, but it's our best shot. Andrew finished. We need a team, small and fast. Infiltrate the control hub and hijack the system. I know just the people. Zorax gestured to the assembled soldiers. Corin, master saboteur. Velsa, our top marksman. A slender alien with luminous eyes stepped forward. Raxon, tech specialist. Raxon said, I can slice into any system the Elysians have. Andrew clasped Raxon's shoulder. Perfect. Gear up and be ready to move in 1 hour. The infiltration. Stealth mission. As the team prepped, Andrew pulled up the mission briefing, his brow furrowed as he read the details. The control hub was a fortress, bristling with advanced security systems and elite guards. Getting in won't be easy, he muttered. Zorax huffed a laugh. Since when is anything we do easy? Entering the fortress. The team boarded a stealth craft and rocketed towards the control hub. They landed in an isolated canyon a few clicks away, the ship's camouflage shimmering into place. Right, Andrew said, checking his weapons. Let's move. They crept through the harsh landscape, sensors probing for threats. Suddenly, a proximity alarm shrieked. The ground rumbled. Something massive was approaching. A creature burst from the rock, all fangs, claws, and armored hide. A genetically engineered monster bred to guard Elysian installations. Facing the beast. Scatter. Andrew yelled as a scythe limb slashed down. The team split, peppering the beast with blaster fire. It roared in fury, charging at Velsa. She rolled aside, shots pinging off its hide. Corin lobbed a grenade into its open mouth. The explosion ripped through the creature's throat. It thrashed and fell, smoke pouring from it, its jaws twitching in death. Breaching the perimeter. Keep moving, Andrew ordered, already running. They reached the control hub's outer perimeter, a shimmering force field blocking their path. Raxon knelt, long fingers dancing over a control panel. Give me a minute, the hacker muttered. Defending the hacker. Allian guards appeared on the ramparts above, alarms blaring. Blaster bolts stitched the ground around the team. Andrew and the others returned fire, giving Raxon cover. The hacker suddenly let out a crow of triumph. The force field flickered and died. Go, Andrew barked. They sprinted for the entrance, picking off guards as they ran. The door to the complex loomed ahead. Corin slapped a breaching charge on the reinforced metal. The explosion shook the ground, and Andrew was first through the smoking hole, rifle up and scanning. The control room. Alliance soldiers swarmed to meet them, filling the corridor with streaks of plasma. Push forward. Andrew roared over the din of battle. They advanced, trading shots with the guards. Velsa dropped Elysians with precise headshots, Corin's grenades flushing enemies from cover. At last, they broke through to the control room. Raxon rushed to the central console, fingers flying over the keys. Andrew, Zorax, and the others formed a perimeter, guns trained on the doors. Hurry. Zorax snarled as more guards pounded up the corridor. Raxon's face was set in concentration, lines of code reflecting in his luminous eyes. Sweat beaded his brow as he worked to slice through the system's firewalls. Prior's entrance. The doors hissed open again, but instead of more guards, a lone figure strode in, tall and imposing, clad in ornate armor. Andrew felt his blood run cold. It was Prior himself. The Elysian ruler surveyed the room, lips curled in a cruel smile. Did you really think you could infiltrate my sanctum undetected? Andrew rose slowly, rifle aimed at Prior's head. It's over. We have control of the wormhole network. Your empire is finished. The final showdown. The offer. Pryor laughed, a cold and mirthless sound. "Oh, I think not. You see, I've known about you for some time. Andrew Phillips, the last human, so desperate for revenge." Andrew's finger tightened on the trigger. "Shut up. I have a proposition for you," Pryor continued, unfazed. "Join me. I will spare what's left of your species, the humans in cryosleep aboard your ship. They can live, and you can stand at my side. Or," he let the threat hang in the air, "the choice." Andrew's mind raced. The fate of his people, the fate of the galaxy hung on his next words. The weight of it threatened to crush him. He looked at Zorax, at Raxon hunched over the control panel, at his team, bloodied but unbowed. He thought of Earth, of the billions slaughtered by Pryor's hand. Andrew met the Elysian ruler's gaze, a cold fury rising in his chest. He had a choice to make, the most important choice of his life, and he would not fail again. The battle. Andrew stared into Pryor's cold, calculating eyes. The weight of the decision pressed down on him like a physical force. The fate of his people, of the resistance, of the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Pryor's offer echoed in his mind, a chance to save the last remnants of humanity, to stand at the side of the most powerful being in the known universe. It was tempting, so tempting. But as he looked around at his team, at Zorax and Raxon, and the others who had fought and bled alongside him, he knew he could never betray them, could never align himself with the monster who had slaughtered billions. "No," Andrew said, his voice low and hard. "I'll never join you. You can take your offer and shove it up your ass." Pryor's face twisted into a snarl. "Then you will die with the rest of your pathetic species." The Elysian ruler lunged, faster than Andrew would have believed possible. But Andrew was ready. He met Pryor's charge head-on, slamming into the alien with bone-crushing force. They traded blows in a whirlwind of violence, enhanced strength pitted against centuries of combat experience. Andrew poured all his rage, all his pain and loss, into every punch, every kick. He fought for Earth, for the billions dead, for the future Pryor had stolen. The fight around them, the battle rage. Zorax and the resistance fighters held the line against wave after wave of Elysian reinforcements. Energy beams crisscrossed the room. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Bodies hit the floor. The air was thick with the stench of ozone and blood. At the central console, Raxon worked frantically to slice through the layers of security surrounding the wormhole network controls. His luminous eyes flickered back and forth, fingers flying over the interface. Andrew barely registered the chaos. His entire being was focused on Pryor, on ending the Elysian ruler once and for all. They slammed each other into walls, grappled across the debris-strewn floor. Andrew felt bones crack, tasted blood in his mouth, but he didn't stop. Pryor's blows were like hammers, driving the air from Andrew's lungs, threatening to overwhelm him. But Andrew fought back with centuries of human tenacity, with the indomitable will of a species that refused to die. In a last desperate gambit, Andrew launched himself at Pryor, sacrificing defense for one all-out attack. He felt the Elysian's fist slam into his chest, felt something rupture deep inside. But his own blow struck home, crushing Pryor's throat. The Elysian ruler staggered back, eyes wide with shock and disbelief. He clutched at his ruined neck, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Andrew watched him fall, a sense of grim satisfaction mingling with the agony burning in his chest. The network hijacked. "I did it." Raxon's voice cut through the haze of pain. "I have control of the network." On screens around the room, images flashed of resistance forces launching simultaneous attacks across Elysian space, of Novolite facilities erupting into flames, of wormholes winking out of existence, cutting off Elysian reinforcements and supply lines. The Empire was crumbling, disintegrating in real time. Andrew slumped against a shattered console, his lifeblood pooling beneath him. He watched through dimming eyes as the resistance achieved the victory he had fought for, killed for. Zorax was there, cradling Andrew's broken body. "We did it, my friend. We won." Andrew smiled through bloody lips. Was there ever any doubt? He thought of all those who had given their lives to reach this moment. Corin, Velsa, so many others. He thought of Earth, of the home he had never known, lost to the ages. But their sacrifices hadn't been in vain. The galaxy would be free. The Elysians were finished. And though humanity might fade into legend, their legacy would endure through the liberated races they had helped to save. As the darkness closed in, Andrew embraced it without fear. He had done his duty. He had avenged the fallen. He could rest now, content in the knowledge that the future was in good hands. His final thought, as the last breath left his body, was that it had been worth it. Every struggle, every loss, every moment of pain. Because in the end, against all odds, they had won. The aftermath. A galaxy transformed. The destruction of the Elysian superweapon sent shockwaves through the galaxy. With Prior dead and the Elysians in disarray, the Resistance quickly moved to solidify their gains. Andrew's sacrifice had not been in vain. The galaxy began to transform, liberated races rising up against their oppressors, inspired by the humans' victory. New alliances, in recognition of his leadership and a crucial role humanity had played in the war effort, Zorax took on the mantle of leadership within the newly formed Galactic Alliance. This alliance was a coalition of various species, united by the common goal of maintaining peace and preventing future tyrannies. Zorax's first decree was to honor the memory of Andrew Phillips and the fallen humans. A monument was erected on the newly liberated Earth, a testament to their bravery and sacrifice. The remaining humans in cryosleep aboard the Vengeance were awakened, given the chance to rebuild their civilization on the very soil their ancestors had once called home. A time of reconstruction. With newfound authority and a renewed sense of purpose, Zorax wasted no time in devising a bold strategy to press the advantage. The combined might of the human and alien fleets was forged into a cohesive fighting force, united by a common goal: to strike at the heart of the Elysian Empire and end their reign of terror once and for all. The Federation launched a series of daring attacks on key Elysian strongholds, with Zorax leading the charge. The human admiral proved to be a master tactician, employing unconventional strategies and leveraging the unique strengths of each species under his command. The Elysians, still reeling from the loss of their superweapon, were caught off guard by the ferocity and coordination of the Federation's assault. The tides turn. As the Federation forces pushed deeper into Elysian territory, they encountered fierce resistance from the Empire's battle-hardened warriors. The Elysians fought with desperate fury, knowing that their very way of life was at stake. But Zorax and his allies matched their intensity, driven by a righteous cause and the knowledge that failure was not an option. With each victory, the Federation gained ground, liberating enslaved worlds and rallying more species to their cause. The tide of the war was turning, and the Elysians began to feel the pressure on all fronts. Emperor Zorth's desperation. Deep within the Elysian capital, Emperor Zorth seethed with rage as reports of the Federation's advances reached his ears. The once confident ruler now found himself grappling with the unraveling of his empire, and his grip on power grew increasingly tenuous. In his desperation, Zorth lashed out at his subordinates, demanding that they take whatever measures necessary to crush the Federation's resistance. He ordered the deployment of forbidden weapons and the sacrifice of entire worlds to slow the enemy's advance. A new path. Amidst the chaos, Admiral Krath found himself at a crossroads. The veteran Elysian commander had always been a loyal servant of the Empire, but as he witnessed the depths of Zorth's cruelty and the senseless slaughter of innocents, he began to question the very foundation of his beliefs. Krath had seen firsthand the bravery and determination of the humans, and in particular, the leadership of Andrew Phillips. He had come to respect their tenacity and their unwavering commitment to the well-being of the galaxy. Krath realized that the Elysians' brutal tactics and ruthless ambition were not the way forward, and that a new path must be forged. Defection and betrayal. The breaking point came when Zorth commanded the annihilation of a Elysian-occupied planet, a world that had been subjugated by the Empire, but still contained millions of innocent lives. The Emperor's plan was to blame the atrocity on the Federation, using it as a propaganda tool to turn public opinion against them and rally support for the Elysian cause. Krath knew that he could not stand idly by and allow such a heinous act to be carried out. He had to take a stand, even if it meant betraying everything he had ever known. In a daring move, Krath defected to the Federation, bringing with him a wealth of knowledge and insider information about the Elysians' inner workings. He sought out Zorax, offering his assistance and insight into the enemy's weaknesses. Planning the final assault, Zorax was initially skeptical of Krath's motives, suspecting a trap or a ploy to undermine the Federation from within. But as he listened to the Elysian Admiral's story and saw the genuine remorse and determination in his eyes, Zorax began to understand the depth of Krath's change of heart. The two former adversaries found common ground in their shared desire to bring an end to the war and forge a lasting peace. They worked together, combining their tactical acumen and intimate knowledge of the Elysians' defenses to plan a decisive strike against the Empire's strongholds. Rescue and revelation. As the final battle approached, Zorax received a shocking piece of intelligence. Lieutenant Emma Reed, the brave soldier who had sacrificed herself to destroy the Elysian superweapon, was alive. She was being held in a secret Elysian prison, subjected to unimaginable torture and interrogation. Zorax's heart raced at the news, a mix of elation and dread coursing through his veins. He had mourned Emma's loss, carried the weight of her sacrifice with him every day. And now, against all odds, there was a chance to save her. But the timing couldn't have been worse. The Federation's forces were poised to strike, and any delay or diversion could jeopardize the entire operation. Zorax found himself torn between his duty as a leader and his loyalty to his friend. As he grappled with the decision, Zorax sought counsel from his alien allies and the leaders of the Federation. They reminded him of the greater good, of the millions of lives that hung in the balance. But they also recognized the importance of honoring the sacrifices of those who had given everything for the cause. The rescue mission. In the end, Zorax made his choice. He would not abandon Emma, not when there was a chance to bring her home. But he also knew that he could not do it alone. Zorax assembled a small elite team of human and alien operatives, each one hand-picked for their unique skills and unwavering loyalty. Together, they would embark on a daring rescue mission, infiltrating the Elysian prison and extracting Emma, while the main Federation fleet launched their final assault. It was a gamble, a risk that could tip the scales of the entire war. But Zorax knew that he had to try, for Emma, for the memory of all those who had fallen, and for the future that they had fought so hard to secure. Preparing for battle. As the rescue team prepared to depart, and the Federation fleet readied itself for the climactic battle, Zorax took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. He thought of the sacrifices that had been made, the bonds that had been forged, and the unwavering spirit of humanity that had carried them through the darkest of times. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but he also knew that they would face it together, united by a common purpose and an unbreakable resolve. The final showdown. The stage was set for the final showdown, a battle that would determine the fate of the Galactic Federation, the Elysian Empire, and the place of humanity among the stars. Zorax took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges to come, and then gave the order to move out. There was no turning back now. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, and Zorax and his allies would stop at nothing to ensure that it was a future worth fighting for. A new dawn, liberation, and victory. The final battle was a fierce and brutal confrontation, with both sides fighting with everything they had. The Federation forces, bolstered by the knowledge that they were fighting for a just cause, pushed forward with unwavering determination. The Elysians, driven by desperation and fear, fought back with savage ferocity. The clash of titanic forces echoed through the stars, each blow and counterblow resonating with the hopes and fears of countless beings. The turning point. In the midst of the chaos, Zorax and his elite team infiltrated the Elysian prison, their hearts pounding with the urgency of their mission. They fought their way through the corridors, overcoming guards and security systems, until they reached Emma's cell. She was weak, battered, but her spirit remained unbroken. With tears of relief and gratitude, Zorax and his team freed her, carrying her to safety. The final blow. Meanwhile, the Federation fleet, led by Krath and the combined might of the liberated races, launched their decisive strike against the Elysian capital. The battle raged with unrelenting intensity, but the Federation's superior tactics and the determination of their soldiers began to turn the tide. The Elysians, already weakened by the loss of their superweapon and the sabotage of their Novolite supply, found themselves overwhelmed.